The dimensional fabric tore like rice paper as Goku tumbled through realities, his fingers still pressed to his forehead from an instant. Transmission that had gone catastrophically wrong. One moment he'd been locking onto King Kai's energy signature across the universe. The next, every familiar key vanished, replaced by thousands of unfamiliar life forces blazing like stars he'd never seen. He crashed through something solid, then something else, before slamming into asphalt hard enough to crater the street. Okay, Goku groaned, pulling himself from the rubble and dusting off his orange GI. That's new. He stood in the middle of a city street, not West City, not even close. The buildings stretched higher than anything on Earth, all glass and steel gleaming under an afternoon sun. Cars honked and swerved around his crater. People screamed and ran, but not because of him. Above the skyline, something massive and green descended through the clouds. A warship bristling with weapons that had no business existing outside. Frisia's nightmares. Then the energy signatures hit him like a wave. Thousands upon thousands, scattered across this unfamiliar planet. Some felt human, weak but vibrant with life. Others burned brighter. Concentrated points of power that reminded him of the Z fighters, but different. Wrong somehow. And among them, signatures that flickered and changed, like flames trying to mimic the shape of other flames. His scion instincts screamed danger. The warship opened fire. Energy beams punched through skyscrapers like they were made of paper. Glass rained down on fleeing civilians. Goku's body moved before his mind caught up. He blurred into motion, appearing beneath a collapsing office building. His hands caught tons of steel and concrete, muscles straining as he slowly, carefully lowered the structures. Remains away from the screaming people beneath. Get clear, he shouted, and they ran. Something fast, really fast, streaked past him in red and gold. A mechanical suit of armor, sleek and advanced. Its repulsor beams cutting through descending alien pods. The pods split open midair, spilling out creatures that looked almost human until their faces rippled and reformed into something reptilian, green-skinned, with pointed ears and chins. Jarvis, tell me the new contact isn't another Skrull trick. A voice crackled from the armor's speakers. Scanning now, sir. Energy signature is unprecedented, not matching any known database, Skrull or otherwise. The armored figure, Iron Man, the suit's designation, read across its chest, pivoted, midair to face Goku. Weapon systems, hum to life, targeting lasers painting red dots across Goku's GI. You, identify yourself. Now, Goku raised his hands. The universal gesture of peace he'd learned worked on most planets. Hey, I'm not your enemy. Name's Goku. I'm not sure how I got here, but those things. He gestured at the green-skinned warriors now engaging what looked like local heroes. There, attacking innocent people. I can help. Can you? Iron Man's voice dripped skepticism. Because from where I'm standing, you appeared out of nowhere during the largest alien invasion in human history. Forgive me if I'm not rolling out the welcome mat. One of the green aliens, Skrulls, Iron Man had called them, landed nearby, its form rippling like water. Before Goku's eyes, it transformed into an exact copy of Iron Man, armor and all. The duplicate fired repulsor blasts at civilians trying to reach a subway entrance. Goku moved, not fast by his standards, but fast enough that the world blurred. He appeared between the fake Iron Man and its targets, catching both repulsor blasts with his bare hands. The energy stung, different from Ki, more technological, but nothing he couldn't handle. He squeezed, and the beams dispersed harmlessly into the air. The Skrull's eyes widened behind its copied helmet. Impossible. Goku's fist ended the conversation, the controlled punch sending the shapeshifter crashing through a parked delivery truck. It reverted to its true form on impact, unconscious but alive. Goku didn't kill if he could help. It, even weird alien shapeshifters, deserved a chance to change. Okay, the real Iron Man said slowly, lowering his weapons. That was either the best proof of innocence I've ever seen, or you're playing a very long game. I don't play games when people are in danger. Goku cracked his knuckles, his eyes tracking the dozens of Skrulls now swarming through the streets. More pods fell from the warship above, and somewhere in the distance, a massive energy signature flared, someone powerful fighting back. Look, I don't know what's happening or why these Skrulls are here, but I know how to fight. Let me help, and we can figure out the trust thing later. A shield ricocheted past Goku's head, striking 3 Skrulls in rapid succession before returning to the hand of a man in red, white, and blue. He landed beside Iron Man with practiced ease, his costume bearing a star on the chest and something about him. Screaming soldier. Tony, the newcomer said, his voice carrying authority that reminded Goku of Piccolo at his most serious. We need every hand we can get. The Baxter building is under siege. The helicarrier is going down, and we just lost contact with half the team. If this guy wants to help, we vet him while fighting. It's not like we have a choice. Captain America, giving tactical advice to trust the mysterious alien who punches like a god. Iron Man muttered, "Sure. What's one more impossible thing today?" He turned back to Goku. "You fight with us, you follow our lead. Step out of line once, and you'll learn why they call me a futurist. I plan for everything." Goku grinned, the expression transforming his face from concern to eager. This wasn't how he'd planned to spend his day, but a good fight to protect people? That was something he understood in any universe. "Got it. So, where do you need me?" Captain America pointed toward the descending warship. "That flagship is coordinating the invasion. We need it gone. Think you can fly?" "Can I fly?" Goku's grin widened. His aura erupted around him, white energy crackling across his body as his hair flickered golden for just a moment, a warning, a promise. "Just watch." He shot into the sky like a rocket, leaving 2 of Earth's greatest heroes staring after him. "Jarvis," Iron Man said quietly, "tell me you got readings on that." "Sir." The energy output briefly exceeded the helicarrier's entire reactor core, and that appeared to be restrained. "Wonderful. Just wonderful." Tony Stark activated his comm system. "All teams, we have a new player. Codename, Goku. Phenomenally powerful. Questionable fashion sense, apparently here to help. Treat as friendly until proven otherwise, but keep your eyes open. In case you forgot, we're fighting shapeshifters who can be literally anyone." Captain America hefted his shield, watching Goku tear through a formation of Skrull fighters with his bare hands. "Something tells me they can't copy that." Above them, Goku laughed as he fought, the sound carrying across the battlefield like thunder. He'd arrived in a strange new world during its darkest hour. But protecting people, fighting to save the innocent, that was the same in every universe. And if these Skrulls thought they could conquer Earth without a fight, they were about to learn what happened when a scion got serious. The invasion had just met its most unpredictable variable. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. Hope shines brightest in the darkest night. The Avengers' makeshift command center occupied what remained of Stark Tower's 73rd floor. Emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across. Tactical displays showing red zones, spreading across every continent. Goku stood near the panoramic windows, watching fire paint the New York skyline, orange while heroes and Skrulls clashed in the streets below. His GI was torn in places, scorched in others, but his eyes remained sharp, tracking energy signatures across the city with an intensity that made several Avengers nervous. "He's been standing there for 20 minutes. Spider-Man whispered to Wolverine, his mask pulled up just enough to reveal concerned eyes. "Not moving. Just watching. It's creepy. Kid's got instincts," Wolverine growled, his enhanced senses focused on Goku. "Been around enough fighters to know the real deal. This guy? He's the genuine article." Question is, genuine what? Iron Man stood at the central holotable, his helmet retracted to reveal Tony Stark's exhausted face. The battle for the flagship had cost them 3 Quinjets destroyed, a dozen SHIELD agents captured or killed, and the warship itself had merely retreated rather than been destroyed. But Goku had torn through their fighter screen like tissue paper, giving the heroes below time to evacuate civilians and regroup. That bought him a seat at this table, even if nobody was ready to give him a key to the facility. "All right, mysterious warrior from another dimension," Tony said, pulling up holographic scans that made his frown deepen. "Time for show and tell. Jarvis ran every analysis protocol we have. According to our sensors, you don't exist." Goku turned from the window, his expression curious rather than offended. "Don't exist? I'm standing right here." Your energy signature doesn't match anything in our databases, and we've cataloged everything from Asgardian magic to Shi'ar technology to cosmic cube radiation. You're not mutant, not inhuman, not enhanced, not alien based on any species we've encountered. You're, Tony gestured at the scrolling data. Impossible. Yet, I watched you fly through a dreadnought's hull without slowing down. Oh, that. Goku scratched the back of his head sheepishly. The gesture so disarmingly genuine that Spider-Man actually relaxed slightly. I'm Scion. We're warriors from another universe. Or maybe just a really different part of this one. I'm still figuring that out. We train our whole lives to use ki, life energy, to fight and protect people. The flying, the strength, the energy blasts. That's all ki control. Captain America leaned forward, his tactical mind processing implications. Life energy. You're saying you weaponize your own life force. Not just mine. Everything living has ki. You, him, that spider guy, even those Skrull things. I can sense it, read it like a signature. That's actually how I knew that Iron Man attacking civilians was a fake. Goku's expression grew serious. The real you has a strong ki, steady and controlled. The Skrull trying to copy you? Its energy felt wrong, like someone wearing a mask. The shape was right, but the spirit underneath was different. The room went silent. Every hero present understood the implication immediately. You can detect Skrulls, Ms. Marvel breathed, her voice tight with something between hope and disbelief. Even when they're perfectly disguised. If that's what you call those green guys, yeah. Their energy flickers, changes to match whoever they're copying. But it's surface level. They can't copy someone's actual life force. Just their appearance and powers. Goku looked around the room, his gaze moving from hero to hero. Everyone here feels real to me. No flickers, no masks. You're who you appear to be. Wolverine's claws extended with their characteristic snicked. Prove it. Read us. Logan, Captain America started, but Wolverine cut him off. No, we've all been thinking it. Anyone here could be a Skrull. We've been fighting them for weeks. And every day we discover someone we trusted was replaced months ago. If this guy can actually tell the difference, his yellow eyes fixed on Goku with predatory intensity, then we need to know for sure. Starting with him. Goku nodded slowly, understanding the weight of what they were asking. He closed his eyes, extending his senses the way Master Roshi had taught him decades ago. The room lit up in his mind's eye, each person a unique constellation of energy. The man with claws, you've got something wild in your ki, almost animal. But underneath that rage, there's someone who's seen too much and still chooses to fight for others. His eyes opened, meeting Wolverine's gaze. You're real. Logan's claws retracted. Keep going. Captain America, your energy is like a shield itself, protecting others even when you're just standing still. Strong, unwavering. Goku's attention shifted. Spider-Man's ki is younger, more chaotic, but there's responsibility woven through every part of it. Ms. Marvel burns bright, confident, powerful. Iron Man's energy interfaces with technology in a way I've never felt before. Like his life force extends into his machines. He moved through each hero present, describing aspects of their energy signatures that matched their personalities so perfectly. It felt like he was reading their souls. When he finished, the tension in the room had shifted, not disappeared, but transformed into something more like cautious hope. Either he's the real deal, Tony said quietly, or the Skrulls have developed technology so far, beyond what we've seen that we've already lost. He's real, a new voice said from the doorway. Nick Fury stepped into the command center, his single eye assessing Goku with the intensity of someone who'd spent a lifetime evaluating threats. Behind him stood a group of heroes. Goku recognized from the battle, some he'd fought beside, others he'd only seen from a distance. I've had agents tracking him since he appeared. Every Skrull he's identified has been confirmed. 0 false positives. 0 misses. You've been testing me, Goku said, not accusingly, just stating fact. Damn right I've been testing you. An unknown this powerful appearing during an invasion? I'd be an idiot not to. Fury crossed his arms. But here's what I know. You've saved approximately 2,000 civilians in the last 3 hours. You've identified and helped capture 47 Skrull infiltrators, including 3 we didn't even know were compromised. And when my agent Jackson went down in your vicinity, You stopped fighting to shield her from debris with your own body. Super Skrulls don't do that. Goku shrugged. She was hurt. Anyone would help. No, Captain America said firmly. Not anyone. That's the point. He extended his hand. If you're willing, we could use your help. Not just your power, your ability to tell friend from enemy. Trust is the first casualty of this invasion. You could give us that back. Goku clasped the offered hand, feeling the strength and sincerity in Captain America's grip. I'm in, but I should tell you where I come from. I've fought beings who could destroy planets, gods, demons, androids, all kinds of powerful enemies. If these Skrulls have warriors anywhere near that level, you need to be ready for things to get a lot more intense. Tony's holodeble flickered, displaying new intelligence. About that, we've confirmed the Skrulls have been studying our most powerful heroes for years. They have warriors who've copied multiple power sets. Thing's strength, Storm's weather control, Wolverine's healing, Cyclops' optic blasts, all in one body. They call them Super Skrulls. Perfect, Goku said, and his grin returned. Eager, almost hungry. I was hoping this wouldn't be too easy. Spider-Man's head tilted. Did he just say he hopes the alien invasion is hard enough? I'm starting to like this guy, Wolverine muttered. Fury, Ms. Marvel called out, her attention fixed on a secondary display. We've got a situation. SHIELD detected. A massive energy surge in the Savage Land, Antarctica. Readings suggest a capital ship, but underground. The Skrulls have been holding something there for months. Fury's expression darkened. A prison ship. We've suspected they were holding replaced heroes somewhere, keeping them alive to maintain the perfect cover. If that's their main facility, then that's where we'll find out how deep this infiltration really goes. Captain America finished. And how many of our missing people are still alive? Goku felt the shift in the room's energy, hope mixed with dread, determination laced with fear of what they might discover. These heroes had been fighting an enemy that wore their friends' faces, never knowing who to trust, for far longer than he'd realized. The paranoia wasn't weakness. It was survival. I'll go, Goku volunteered. If you need someone who can tell real from fake, and who can fight whatever they've got guarding those prisoners, I'm your best option. Fury studied him for a long moment. You don't know our world, don't know our protocols, don't know our history, but you're right, you're exactly what we need for this mission. He tapped his communicator. Assemble a strike team. Mix of powers, heavy hitters, and tacticians. We're going to the Savage Land, and we're bringing our people home. As heroes began gearing up for the mission, Goku returned to the window. Somewhere in the frozen south, people were imprisoned by an enemy that had stolen their faces and their lives. It reminded him of Babiti's mind control, of Majin Buu's absorption, of all the times he'd fought beings who stripped away identity and choice. This universe might be different from his own, but the fight remained the same. Protect the innocent, defeat evil, and never give up. The Skrulls had chosen the wrong planet to invade. They just didn't know it yet. The Quinjet cut through Antarctic winds like a knife, its cloaking systems rendering it invisible to Skrull sensors, or so SHIELD hoped. Goku pressed his face against the viewport, watching glaciers roll past below, their ancient ice glowing blue-white under the polar sun. He'd never seen so much frozen water in one place. Even the lookout's view of Earth hadn't prepared him for the sheer scale of this wasteland. First time in Antarctica? Captain America asked from the seat beside him. The soldier had spent the flight reviewing tactical displays, but his attention never strayed far from their unusual ally. First time on this Earth, period, Goku admitted. My planet has ice, but nothing like this. It's beautiful, deadly, but beautiful. The Savage Land isn't what you'd expect. Captain America pulled up a holographic map showing a circular region of jungle impossibly nestled within the frozen continent. Prehistoric preserve, hidden by natural volcanic activity and some kind of ancient technology. Dinosaurs, primitive tribes, the works. Perfect place to hide a prison ship. Nobody thinks to look for advanced aliens. In a land that time forgot. Goku's eyes widened. Dinosaurs? Like real ones. Focus, Goku. Iron Man called from the pilot's seat, though his voice carried a hint of amusement. We can arrange a safari after we save the world. Jarvis is detecting the energy signature now, 3 miles ahead. Buried beneath 200 feet of volcanic rock, and some kind of energy shielding. Whatever they're hiding down there, they really don't want visitors. The strike team was small but powerful. Captain America for tactics, Iron Man for technology, Ms. Marvel for raw strength, Wolverine for infiltration and his unkillable nature, and Goku as their Skrull detector and heavy hitter. Spider-Man had argued passionately to join, but Fury had vetoed it. They needed heroes protecting the city while the team was gone. The invasion continued worldwide, and every available defender counted. Energy Shield's frequency is rotating, Tony announced, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Clever. It cycles through 17 different wavelengths every 4 seconds, making it nearly impossible to penetrate without knowing the exact sequence. Good thing I'm better than nearly. Impossible. His armor's arc reactor pulsed brighter, penetrating in 3-2. The Quinjet shuddered as invisible forces pushed back, then parted. Warning lights flashed across every console, but they were through, descending into a massive underground cavern that absolutely should not exist. Bioluminescent fungi clung to walls the size of skyscrapers, casting everything in eerie green light. And there, suspended in the cavern's center by crackling energy tethers, hung a Skrull prison ship easily the size of 3 aircraft carriers. Well, Wolverine growled, his claws extending with anticipation. Guess they know we're here now. The ship's surface rippled like living metal, and weapon ports irised open. Goku's senses exploded with warning. Dozens of energy signatures inside the vessel, all powerful, all moving toward them with hostile intent. But underneath those aggressive presences, he felt something else, weaker signatures, flickering with exhaustion and pain. The prisoners. I count 37 people inside who feel human, Goku reported, his voice tight. But their energy is wrong, drained, like they've been starved. And there are at least 50 Skrulls between us and them. 50 armed hostiles in an enclosed space with prisoners. Captain America calculated instantly. They'll use the captives as shields if we force entry. We need a distraction, something big enough to draw their forces out while a smaller team infiltrates. Everyone looked at Goku. What? He glanced around at the expectant faces. Oh, you want me to be the distraction? You did punch through a dreadnought, Ms. Marvel pointed out. If anything's going to get their attention, it's the mysterious super warrior who appeared out of nowhere. Iron Man brought the Quinjet into a hover position behind a massive stalagmite. Here's the play. Goku goes in loud and bright. Draw as many Skrulls topside as possible. While they're focused on not dying, Cap, Wolverine, and I infiltrate from the lower access, Port Jarvis identified. Ms. Marvel, you're with Goku. Your invulnerability makes you perfect backup if things go sideways. When things go sideways, Wolverine corrected. When? Tony agreed. We find the prisoners, verify their real using Goku's energy reading, which he'll somehow communicate to us, telepathically or through interpretive dance. We'll figure it out and extract them while the Skrulls are still trying to figure out what hit them. Goku nodded slowly. Just one thing. If I'm going to get their attention, I should probably show them what I can really do. And that means… He closed his eyes, centering himself, feeling the familiar surge of power that had become second nature over decades of training and battle. You all should probably get clear. His aura erupted around him, white energy crackling with golden lightning. The Quinjet's interior lights flickered as his power spiked, and every sensor on Tony's armor screamed warnings about impossible energy readings. Goku's hair flickered between black and gold, his eyes shifting to teal as he deliberately let his power climb. Not to Super Saiyan yet, but close enough to announce his presence like a war drum. Holy, spider sense he didn't even know he had made. Wolverine's every instinct screamed to back, away from the smiling man whose energy signature had just jumped from impressive to tactical nuke. That, Tony said quietly, is definitely going to get their attention. The Quinjet's rear ramp lowered, wind howling into the cabin. Goku stepped to the edge, his GI whipping around him as golden energy danced across his skin. Ms. Marvel joined him, her own power flaring in response, cosmic energy, meeting life force in a display that lit the cavern like a second sun. Try to keep up, Goku said with a wink, and dove into open air. He didn't fall so much as descend like a meteor, his aura blazing brighter with each passing second. The prison ship's weapons tracked him immediately, energy cannons charging with a whine that echoed off stone walls. They fired in perfect synchronization, a dozen beams of destructive force that would have vaporized anything human. Goku's hands came up in a familiar stance, orange GI sleeves sliding back from his wrists. Ka, me. The beams struck him dead on. For a heartbeat, energy obscured everything. Then Goku's voice cut through the chaos, impossibly calm. Iche? Me. The enemy fire parted around him like water around a stone, redirected by an aura of pure ki that treated their weapons like gentle rain. His hands cupped together at his hip, blue light building between his palms, not his full power, not even close, but enough to make his point crystal clear. Hiya! The Kamehameha wave erupted from his hands, a pillar of blue-white energy that struck the prison ship's shields with the force of a falling star. The entire vessel shuddered, alarms blaring as its defensive systems struggled to compensate for an attack form they'd never encountered. The shields held, barely, but buckled inward, spiderwebbing with cracks that leaked sparks and smoke. That's your cue, Ms. Marvel shouted into her comm as she dove after Goku, her fists glowing with photonic energy. Go, go, go. The Quinjet banked hard, racing for the lower access port while every Skrull eye remained fixed on the two flying humans who absolutely should not be capable of matching their warship's firepower. A bay door irised open near the ship's equator, and green-armored warriors poured out, dozens of them, jetpacks flaring as they swarmed toward the threat. Goku grinned, cracking his knuckles. Now this was more like it. No more sneaking around, no more questions and suspicion. Just a straightforward fight to protect people who needed help. In any universe, that was something he could understand. The first wave of Skrulls opened. Fire with energy weapons. That would have liquefied stone. Goku moved through the barrage like he was dancing, each dodge minimal and precise. Decades of Master Roshi's training making him waste zero motion. He reached the closest Skrull in the span of a heartbeat, his fist driving into the warrior's gut with just enough force to double them over without killing. A spin kick sent two more spiraling toward the cavern floor. Ms. Marvel fought beside him, her cosmic-enhanced strength letting her trade blows with Skrulls who'd copied power sets from a dozen different heroes. She fought with military precision, each strike calculated, each movement economical. Where Goku flowed like water, she struck like a hammer, different styles, same purpose. More coming, Goku called out, sensing energy signatures multiplying inside the ship. Big ones. These guys aren't regular soldiers. The bay door widened, and three figures emerged that made even the other Skrulls give them space. Super Skrulls, their bodies rippling with stolen powers. One wreathed in flame with rocky orange skin, another crackling with lightning and wind, the third shifting between invisible and solid with impossible speed. Fantastic for power set, Ms. Marvel identified grimly. Storm and Thor hybrid. And that's a Kitty Pride Colossus combination. They've been busy. The three Super Skrulls moved in perfect coordination, decades of copied muscle memory guiding their attacks. Fire blasted from one's hands while hurricane winds buffeted from another's. And the third faced, through their own allies to strike from impossible angles with diamond-hard fists. Goku's expression grew serious. Finally, opponents worth taking seriously. His aura flared brighter, golden light beginning to overtake white. And when he spoke, his voice carried the promise of a warrior who'd faced gods and emerged victorious. All right then, let's see what you've really got. Far below, unnoticed in the chaos, Quinjet's cloaking field shimmered as three Avengers slipped into the enemy vessel's darkened corridors. The distraction was working perfectly. Now came the hard part, finding which prisoners were real, and which were just more Skrulls wearing familiar faces. The prison ship's interior stank of recycled air and something else, fear, distilled into a scent that made Wolverine's enhanced senses rebel. Captain America moved through the darkened corridor with his shield raised, every instinct screaming trap even as their luck held. No guards, no patrols, just emergency lighting casting red shadows across walls inscribed with alien script that hurt to look at too long. Too easy, Wolverine growled, his claws extended and gleaming. They pulled everyone topside to deal with our walking natural disaster. But someone should have stayed behind to guard the prisoners. Unless they're confident their captives can't escape, Iron Man countered. His armor's sensors sweeping for energy signatures, biological signs. Anything that might indicate where to search in this massive vessel. Jarvis is picking up concentrated life signs 3 decks down. Central compartment. 37 distinct readings. All human or human adjacent. Matches Goku's count exactly. Captain America's jaw tightened. 37 heroes, possibly more. People who'd been replaced. Their lives stolen while Skrulls wore their faces and destroyed everything they'd built. Every day of this invasion, they'd discovered new replacements. SHIELD agents, who'd been imposters for months. Heroes who'd fought beside them, died beside them, only for autopsies to reveal green blood and reptilian features. Trust had become a luxury Earth's defenders couldn't afford. The ship shuddered as something massive impacted its hull. Goku, still keeping the Skrulls busy topside. Good. They needed every second. They descended through access shafts designed for Skrull physiology. Too narrow and too vertical for comfort. Iron Man's armor scraped against walls meant for beings that could compress and reshape their bodies. Wolverine scented the air constantly. His nose the best early warning system they had. And Captain America led them, with the quiet confidence of a man who'd stormed beaches and infiltrated fortresses long before any of them were born. The central compartment's door was sealed with technology that made Tony's fingers itch to understand. Organic circuits interfaced with crystalline matrices, the whole thing pulsing like a living heart. He bypassed it in 40 seconds, which by his standards meant the Skrulls either weren't as advanced as feared, or they'd never expected anyone to reach this deep into their ship. The door irised open with a sound like tearing flesh. Beyond lay a chamber of horrors dressed up as a menagerie. 37 transparent cylinders lined the walls, each containing a human figure suspended in greenish fluid. Their faces slack with unconsciousness or drug submission. Tubes ran from their bodies to machinery that hummed with power, extracting something, blood, cellular material, memories perhaps, feeding data to the Skrulls who wore their shapes topside. Jesus, Tony whispered, his usual sarcasm stripped away by raw fury. They're not just replacing people. They're keeping them alive to maintain perfect covers. Living databases. Wolverine's claws scraped against his palms as his fists clenched. Recognize any of them? Captain America moved from cylinder to cylinder. His shield lowered, his expression carved from stone. Mockingbird. Jarvis, the real Jarvis. Tony. Hank Pym. Invisible Woman. Elektra. Each name landed like a punch. God, some of these people have been missing for over a year. We thought they were dead, or turned traitor, or how do we know they're real? Iron Man's voice cracked slightly, betraying the emotion he fought to contain. One of the cylinders held his butler, a man who'd raised him after his parents died, who'd been acting strangely for months. Months of an imposter in his home, in his workshop, learning his secrets. The Skrulls could have planted fakes to trick us, to make us lower our guard and extract the real locations of our bases. Our families. We asked Goku. Captain America said simply, "That's why he's here. That's why we brought him." He tapped his calm. "Goku, we've found the prisoners. 37 individuals, currently sedated. We need you to." Static answered him. Then an explosion rocked the ship hard enough to throw Wolverine into a wall. Communications jammed, Tony reported, his HUD flickering with interference patterns. Someone realized what we're doing and cut us off. We're on our own. The door behind them sealed shut with that same organic sound. New doors opened along the chamber's perimeter, 6 of them, spilling out Skrull warriors who'd apparently been waiting for exactly this moment. Not the regular troops fighting topside, but elite guards in heavier armor. Weapons trained on the 3 Avengers with professional precision. And leading them, a Skrull who wore Captain America's face. "Hello, Steve," the doppelganger said with Cap's voice. Cap's posture, Cap's quiet authority. "We've been expecting you." Well, expecting someone. The Scion was an unexpected variable, but one we've adapted to. Unlike you, we learned quickly. 2 more figures emerged, one wearing Iron Man's face beneath a helmet identical to Tony's. Another with Wolverine's features and stance. Perfect copies, down to the scars and the way they held themselves. The only difference was the slight flicker in their energy that Goku would have spotted instantly. But without his gift, they were flawless. Kill the originals, the false Captain America ordered. Replace them. The invasion proceeds. The real Captain America's shield came up, deflecting the first barrage of energy fire through pure reflex and decades of experience. Gentlemen, we have a problem. No, Wolverine snarled, his healing factor already knitting together a graze across his shoulder. They have a problem. They just locked themselves in here with us. The battle erupted in the confined space. A chaotic melee where every second mattered and trust was measured in split-second decisions. Captain America fought his own reflection, shield meeting shield, each knowing the other's moves because they were the same moves. Iron Man's repulsors clashed with copied repulsors. Technology matching technology in a duel where milliseconds separated victory from death. And Wolverine tore into his duplicate with berserker rage. Claws meeting claws in a screech of adamantium on adamantium. But the real fight wasn't against their copies, it was against time. Above them, Goku battled Super Skrulls with the fate of 37 prisoners hanging in the balance. Below them, the infiltration team fought imposters while trying to protect cylinders filled with people who might be real heroes or might be more. Skrull deceptions. And across the world, Earth's defenders fought an enemy that wore their faces and knew their secrets. Jarvis, Tony grunted, blasting his duplicate back with a focused chest beam. Override Command Alpha Alpha 9. Access the suit's deep storage protocols. Sir, those protocols are untested in combat scenarios. Do it. His armor's arc reactor pulsed in a pattern that made the Skrull technology around them stutter and glitch. Tony Stark hadn't survived this long by being unprepared. Every suit contained failsafes, backdoors, and surprises that only he knew about. The copied Iron Man armor on his Skrull duplicate, it had the same design, the same appearance, even the same basic functionality. But it didn't have years of field modifications and paranoid preparation coded into its very core. The duplicate's armor locked up mid-flight, servos freezing, weapons offline. The Skrull inside struggled, its form rippling as it tried to compensate. But Stark had built his technology to respond only to his specific biometrics, his specific thought patterns, his specific genetic signature. That's why you'll never be me, Tony said coldly. His repulsor charged and aimed at the helpless duplicate. I don't trust anyone, not even myself. The blast ended the threat permanently. Captain America's fight ended differently, with his shield catching his duplicate perfectly under the chin, the angle calculated to render unconscious rather than kill. Steve Rogers didn't execute helpless enemies, even when they wore his face and had tried to steal his life. The Skrull crumpled, reverting to its true form in unconsciousness. Wolverine's battle was the bloodiest and the quickest, when you fought someone with your exact healing factor. The only question was who wanted it more. Wolverine wanted it more. His claws found the duplicate's heart, and that was that. The remaining Skrull guards, seeing their champions fall, retreated through doors that sealed behind them. Cowards, or tacticians who'd report back that the mission had failed. Either way, they were gone. The prisoners, Captain America said immediately, moving toward the cylinders. We need to get them out before. Alarms shrieked through the ship. Red emergency lighting shifted to orange, then yellow. A computerized voice spoke in Skrull, but the meaning transcribed itself across Tony's HUD translation. Self-destruct initiated. 10 minutes to detonation. Of course there's a self-destruct, Tony muttered. Why wouldn't there be a self-destruct? Wolverine was already at the first cylinder, examining the seals. These are wired into the life support. We try to break him out wrong. We kill whoever's inside. Then we do it right. Captain America's voice carried the unshakable conviction that had made him a leader for decades. Tony, can you interface with their systems? Buy us time or disable the self-destruct? I can try, but Skrull programming is wait. Tony's heads-up display flickered with new data, a signal beacon broadcasting from somewhere within the ship. Not Skrull frequency. Human. Specifically, his frequency. Someone's using my personal emergency channel. Someone inside this vessel. The signal resolved into coordinates, one of the cylinders. The one containing his butler. Jarvis. Tony moved to the cylinder. his armored hand pressed against the transparent surface. Inside, the elderly man's eyes flickered open, just for a moment. His lips moved, forming words that Tony's lip-reading software translated. Trust Protocol Gamma. Trust Protocol Gamma. A code phrase they'd established years ago, back when Tony had first worried about imposters and mind control in all the ways his paranoia might be justified. A phrase Jarvis had suggested that only the two of them knew, changed monthly, through a sequence only they could calculate. "He's real," Tony said, his voice thick with emotion he couldn't quite suppress. "He's really Jarvis." Which means, we can trust Goku's reading, Captain America finished. If the Skrulls went to this much trouble to keep these people alive and functioning, they're the real versions. They have to be, or the data feed wouldn't work. 8 minutes, Wolverine growled. Save the tearful reunion for after we're not about to be vaporized. Tony's fingers flew across holographic interfaces, bypassing Skrull encryptions, with a combination of human intuition and artificial intelligence that their alien technology hadn't accounted for. Life support systems disengaged carefully, preserving the suspended humans while freeing them from their prisons. Cylinders hissed open one by one, releasing drugged heroes into the arms of their rescuers. Above them, the ship shuddered. Again, a massive impact that definitely wasn't from energy weapons. Goku pushing back, probably wondering why they hadn't responded to his communication attempt. "We need to move," Captain America commanded, supporting an unconscious Mockingbird while Tony's armor extended appendages to carry multiple prisoners. "Get them to the Quinjet, get them clear, and hope Goku can buy us enough time to." The wall exploded inward, not breached by weapons or explosives, but torn open by bare hands wreathed in golden light. Goku stood in the gap, his hair blazing gold, his eyes teal, his entire form radiating power that made the air itself taste like ozone and lightning. Super Saiyan, not holding back anymore, his smile bright despite the chaos. "Sorry I'm late," he called out cheerfully. "Got a little distracted playing with the angry green guys. You find the prisoners." "And our Skrull playmates activated the self-destruct," Tony reported. 6 minutes until this whole ship becomes a really expensive firework. Goku's expression shifted to something more serious. "Then we better hurry. Everyone grab who you can carry. I'll handle the rest." "The rest?" "There's over 30 people here, and most of them weigh." Goku's hands moved in a familiar pattern, 2 fingers pressed to his forehead. "Instant transmission. I can teleport, but I need something to lock onto. A key signature, an energy source. Your Quinjet's got a power signature I can feel from here. Everyone touching me, touching someone touching me, comes along for the ride." So, he grinned, and despite everything, the invasion, the imposters, the bomb counting down, Captain America found himself smiling back. "Form a chain," Steve ordered. "Wolverine, grab prisoners. Tony, use your armor's appendages. Everyone stay connected, and trust the man who can apparently teleport." They formed a human chain in under a minute, each Avenger supporting unconscious heroes while maintaining physical contact with Goku or someone touching him. It looked absurd, felt absurd, but absurd beat dead. "For minutes," Tony announced. "More than enough time," Goku said, his fingers pressed to his forehead, his focus absolute. "Hold on. This might feel weird." The world twisted. For a single, disorienting instant, they existed nowhere and everywhere, stretched across space in a way that made human senses rebel. Then reality snapped back, and they were standing in the Quinjet's cargo bay. 37 unconscious prisoners sprawled across every available surface, and Goku looking slightly winded but still grinning. "Told you it'd work," he said. Ms. Marvel's voice crackled over the comm from where she still fought topside. Guys, the ship's powering up for something big. I think they know you got the prisoners. Get out of there," Tony shouted. Self-destruct in 3 minutes. The Quinjet's engines roared to life. Captain America hit the emergency evacuation protocol, and the ship shot upward through the cavern, cloaking fields straining to keep them hidden while they fled. Behind them, Ms. Marvel streaked after them, her cosmic energy blazing a trail through the darkness. They cleared the cavern with seconds to spare. The prison ship's self-destruct wasn't nuclear, it was something worse. The vessel imploded, collapsing into a singularity that dragged everything nearby into compressed nothingness. before exploding outward with force. That shook the entire continent. The cavern collapsed, volcanic rock filling the space where humanity's stolen champions had been imprisoned. But those champions were safe now, unconscious but breathing, their nightmares finally ending. Jarvis, Tony said quietly as the Quinjet raced toward the Savage Land's jungle perimeter. Start running medical protocols on all recovered prisoners. I want full genetic screening, memory assessment when they wake, everything. We verify they're who we think they are before we let anyone near them. Already initiated, sir. Goku slumped against a bulkhead, his golden aura fading back to normal as his hair returned to black. Maintaining Super Saiyan wasn't hard, but the instant transmission. With this, many people had taken more out of him than he'd let on. Worth it, though? Every person here was someone who'd been stolen, replaced. Their lives hijacked by an enemy that wore their faces. You did good, Wolverine said gruffly, extending one hand. Could have left us down there, saved yourself the trouble. But you came back. Goku clasped the offered hand, feeling the calluses and scars of a warrior who'd seen centuries of battle. Where I come from, we don't leave people behind. Doesn't matter what universe you're in. Some rules don't change. Captain America knelt beside the cylinder containing his butler, watching Jarvis's chest rise and fall with steady breaths. When this is over, he said quietly, remind me to properly thank you. You gave us back something. I thought we'd lost forever. Hope. That the people we're fighting for are still out there. Still themselves. When this is over, Ms. Marvel had entered the Quinjet, her uniform scorched but her smile intact. Cap, the invasion's still happening. We saved 37 people today, but there are millions more at risk. The Skrulls aren't going to give up because we hit one facility. I know, Steve said, and his voice carried the weight of a man who'd fought too many wars to count. But for the first time since this started, we have a weapon they can't counter, someone who can see through their deceptions. As long as Goku's with us, they can't hide. Goku looked out the viewport at the jungle passing below, then up at the sky where Skrull warships still patrolled Earth's atmosphere. Somewhere up there, a queen directed this invasion, convinced that Earth would fall like so many other worlds before it. She was about to learn what happened when a Scion got involved. The medical bay at the new SHIELD facility, the third one this month, relocated after the previous base's administrator turned out to be Skrull, hummed with activity. Goku sat on an examination table while technicians in hazmat suits ran scanners over him, their instruments beeping and clicking in patterns that meant nothing to him. He'd offered to let them examine him after the Savage Land mission, figuring cooperation would build trust faster than secrecy. Your cellular structure is fascinating, Dr. Reed Richards said, adjusting his glasses as he studied the readouts. The leader of the Fantastic Four had been recovered from the prison ship 3 days ago, and after extensive verification, genetic testing, memory probes, and Goku's key reading, confirmed as genuine. He'd thrown himself into understanding their new ally with the obsessive focus of science incarnate. Your body generates and stores energy in ways that violate several fundamental laws of thermodynamics. Or perhaps you operate under different physical constants entirely. I just call it ki, Goku said, swinging his legs off the table's edge. Never really thought about the science part. I train, I get stronger, I protect people. The how isn't as important as the what, you know? Reed's expression suggested he absolutely did not know, and the very concept caused him physical pain. But understanding the mechanism could help us replicate it, or at least develop countermeasures if the Skrulls somehow. They can't copy ki, Goku interrupted gently. I fought a few more of those Super Skrulls over the last few days. They copy powers, abilities, even personalities. But ki isn't just power, it's life energy shaped by experience, training, and spirit. They can copy what it looks like from the outside, but not what it is. That's why I can always tell them apart. Over the past 72 hours, Goku had become Earth's most valuable asset in the invasion. He'd identified 32 more Skrull infiltrators in positions ranging from SHIELD agents to city officials to two heroes. Everyone had trusted implicitly. Each discovery eroded the paranoia slightly. Painful, yes, but certainty beat suspicion. Better to know your enemy than fear your friend. The medical bay door opened, admitting Nick Fury with his usual dramatic timing. Richards, I need to borrow our alien friend. Something's come up. Everything's come up with you, Reed muttered, but gestured for Goku to go. We'll continue this later. I have 17 more tests to run. Looking forward to it, Goku lied politely, hopping off the table and following Fury into the corridor. The director moved with purpose, his long coat sweeping behind him like a cape. And Goku had learned that when Fury moved fast, bad news followed close behind. They entered a secure briefing room where the core Avengers team waited. Captain America, Iron Man, Thor recently returned from Asgard, with news that the Skrulls had tried infiltrating the Nine Realms, Spider-Man, and a woman Goku hadn't met before. She wore red and blue, a spider emblem on her chest, and her key felt oddly similar to Spider-Man's. Spider-Woman, Fury introduced tersely. Jessica Drew, one of our agents. Goku's senses extended automatically, reading her energy signature. It felt stable, consistent, no flickering or. He froze. The energy was perfect. Too perfect. Like someone had studied Spider-Man's key signature and recreated it with absolute precision, then maintained it without variation for weeks or months. Real people fluctuated, emotions, fatigue, injury. All of it affected their life force moment to moment. But Spider-Woman's energy held steady as a metronome, artificial in its consistency. She's a Skrull, Goku said quietly. The room exploded into motion. Spider-Man's web shooters trained on Spider-Woman instantly. Iron Man's repulsors charged. Thor's hammer Mjolnir appeared in his hand, crackling with lightning. Captain America's shield came up, positioned between the infiltrator and the door. Spider-Woman didn't move. Her expression remained calm, almost resigned, and when she spoke, her voice carried none of the desperation Goku had heard from exposed Skrulls before. I know, she said simply. I've always known you'd figure it out eventually. I'm surprised it took this long, honestly. Jessica Drew has been my agent for 3 years, Fury said, and his voice could have frozen plasma. She saved this planet a dozen times over. Saved my life personally. And you're telling me she's been a Skrull the entire time? Not the entire time, Spider-Woman, the Skrull replied. We replaced her 9 months ago, after she returned from a mission in Madripoor. The real Jessica Drew is alive in another facility, similar to the Savage Land prison. We've been feeding off her memories, her DNA, maintaining perfect synchronization. Why? Captain America demanded. Why reveal yourself now? Because I'm choosing to. The Skrull's hands remained visible, empty, non-threatening. My name, my real name, is Kielka. I was assigned to infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D., report on your defenses, your tactics, your heroes. I've done that for months. Fed information that led to successful strikes against your forces. Identified weaknesses you didn't know you had. I've been the perfect spy. Then why confess? Iron Man asked, his weapon still trained despite his confusion. Why not wait for extraction? Mission accomplished. Kielka's gaze shifted to Goku, and something in her expression, sadness, regret, made her feel suddenly, achingly human despite the green blood flowing through her veins. Because of him. Because watching someone who can see through any deception, who trusts so easily despite having every reason not to, who fights to protect people he doesn't even know from a universe he just arrived in. It made me remember why I questioned this invasion in the first place. Pretty speech. Wolverine growled from his position near the wall, claws extended. Doesn't change that you're a lying alien infiltrator who's been playing us for months. No, it doesn't, Kielka agreed. But I can give you something worth more than my life. I can give you the invasion's endgame, the real plan, not the fleet actions and battles you see. I can tell you about Queen Varank's true objective, about the weapon she's been building while your attention stayed focused on warships and super Skrulls. And I can tell you where the real Jessica Drew is being held. Fury's single eye narrowed to a slit. In exchange for what? Asylum? Protection? A cell with a view? In exchange for nothing. Kielka's hands moved slowly to a device on her belt. Everyone tensed. But she simply deactivated it and set it on the table. That's my communication relay to Skrull Command. Every report I've sent, every piece of intelligence I've gathered, it's all in there. Encrypted, but your Mr. Richards can crack it. You'll see everything I've told my people and everything they've told me, including things they wouldn't want us to know. Captain America asked, his tactical mind already racing through implications. Especially those things. Kyulka looked at each hero in turn, her expression carrying weight that transcended species. I'm a soldier. I follow orders. But I'm also a person who's lived as Jessica Drew, felt her memories, experienced her life. Your species has something mine lost centuries ago. Hope that there's more to existence than conquest and survival. Goku reminded me of that. His energy, his spirit. It's so pure that being near him makes it impossible to lie to myself anymore. Goku scratched his head, uncomfortable with the attention. I didn't do anything special. Just tried to help people. Exactly, Kyulka said softly. Just try to help people. Not because they're your species or your friends, or because you'll gain something from it. You help because that's who you are. The Skrull Empire can't understand that kind of person. It's why we're going to lose this invasion eventually. You have warriors who fight for something beyond mere survival. Thor stepped forward, Mjolnir lowered but ready. The Skrull speaks truth, or truth as she believes it. I sense no deception in her words. Though that matters little, she's admitted to months of lies already. So what do we do with her? Spider-Man asked, his voice tight with anger and confusion. He'd worked with Spider-Woman, trusted her. And now that relationship revealed itself as fabrication. She's a confessed spy and infiltrator. By any law, she's an enemy combatant. But a useful one, Tony pointed out. If she's telling the truth about that relay device, and we'll verify everything she's just handed us the intelligence. Coup of the century. The Skrull's entire command structure. Their communications protocols. Possibly even their fleet positions and future targets. She could be a double agent, Wolverine said flatly. Sacrificing herself to feed us false intel. Make us drop our guard or commit to the wrong strategy. It's what I'd do. Which is why we verify, Fury said, picking up the relay device with a gloved hand. Richards cracks this. We compare everything to what we already know, and we see if her story holds water. If it does, he looked at Kyulka with an expression that might have been respect under different circumstances. Then you've just committed treason against your entire species. They'll hunt you forever. I know, Kyulka said simply. But Jessica Drew would make this choice. She'd choose Earth over the Empire, innocence over orders. If I'm going to wear her face, carry her memories, I need to honor what she'd do. Otherwise, I'm just a puppet wearing stolen skin. The room fell silent, each hero processing the implications. A Skrull turncoat could change everything, or could be the final, devastating betrayal that broke Earth's resistance completely. The paranoia that had defined this invasion suddenly had a face, a voice, a person who claimed to reject it. Goku stood up from where he'd been leaning against the wall. I want to try something. Kyulka, is it okay if I read your ki more deeply? Really examine your life energy. See if I can tell whether you're being honest. I suppose. Kyulka looked uncertain for the first time. Though I don't know what you'll find. My life energy, as you call it, is Skrull. Alien to your senses. All energy tells a story, Goku said, moving closer. If you'll let me, I'll see if yours is telling the truth. Kyulka nodded, standing still as Goku placed his hand near her shoulder, close enough to sense, far enough to respect boundaries. He closed his eyes, extending his senses in ways that Master Roshi and King Kai had taught him, reading not just power but intention, not just energy but essence. What he found made his eyes snap open. Her ki was Skrull, yes, alien patterns that felt nothing like human or Scion energy, but woven through it, like threads in tapestry, were fragments of something else. Jessica Drew's memories, her experiences, her emotions, they'd left marks on Kyulka's energy signature. Not copies, but echoes. Real connections forged through months of living another person's life, feeling their feelings, facing their choices. And underneath everything, a current of genuine regret mixed with determination. The energy signature of someone who'd made a choice they couldn't take back, and knew it, and did it anyway. She's telling the truth, Goku said, opening his eyes. Or at least, she believes she's telling the truth. Her energy's conflicted, guilty, afraid, but it's not hostile. Not anymore. Your assessment against months of espionage experience. Fury asked. Yeah, Goku said firmly. Look, I'm not saying trust her completely or let her walk around unsupervised. But she's not trying to trick us right now. Whatever her reasons, she wants to help. Captain America studied Kiehlka for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he lowered his shield slightly, not all the way, but enough to signal he was willing to listen. Tell us about Queen Varank's weapon. Tell us about the real plan. If you're genuine about helping, start with something we can verify immediately. Kiehlka took a breath and began to speak. She told them about the underground facility beneath Denver, where Skrull scientists had been building something using technology, reverse-engineered from captured Kree warships and ancient Shi'ar designs. A weapon that could blanket entire continents with shape-shifting nanites, forcibly converting human DNA to Skrull genetic markers. No more infiltration, no more replacement, just instant transformation of billions of humans into Skrulls, ready to be assimilated into the Empire. She told them about the timeline, 3 weeks until the weapon reached operational status, 3 weeks before the Skrulls stopped pretending to be human and simply made humanity extinct by turning them into the enemy. And she told them about Queen Varank's true identity, the person she'd been impersonating for over 2 years. Someone so trusted that nobody had questioned her. Someone with access to every hero team, every secret, every vulnerability. When she spoke the name, even Nick Fury's legendary composure cracked. The invasion was worse than they'd thought. Much worse. And time was running out. Queen Varank wore Jessica Drew's face, but not Kiehlka's. Jessica Drew. The Queen had chosen a different Spider-Woman from a different time. The original infiltrator. The one who'd been replaced over 2 years ago, long before Kiehlka's assignment began, which meant everything S.H.I.E.L.D. thought. They knew about the invasions. Timeline was wrong. The Skrulls hadn't started 9 months ago. They'd been here for years, plural. And the woman who'd fought beside the Avengers, who'd shared their secrets and their trust, had been an alien monarch wearing a hero's skin the entire time. She's been at every major briefing, Tony said, his voice hollow as he pulled up holographic records. Ultron crisis, Civil War discussions, the Raft breakout. She was there. She knew everything. Worse than that, Kiehlka said quietly. She's been steering decisions. Small suggestions here, a tactical recommendation there. Nothing obvious enough to raise suspicion, but enough to position Earth's defenders exactly where the Empire wanted them when the invasion began. You never stood a chance because your strategy was designed by your enemy. Thor's grip on Mjolnir tightened until his knuckles went white. Where is she now? Where does this false spider hide? Shield Helicarrier Delta, Kiehlka said. She's been coordinating defense efforts from there, which means she's actually feeding real-time intelligence to Skrull Command while appearing to fight her own forces. Brilliant, really. Every countermeasure you develop, every strategy you deploy, she knows about it before implementation. Fury's jaw worked silently for a moment. When he spoke, his voice could have cut diamond. How many people on that helicarrier know? Just her. The Skrulls learned early. That too many infiltrators in one location raised suspicion. Better to have one perfect spy with unlimited access than a dozen mediocre ones. Kiehlka's expression darkened. But she's not alone up there. She has insurance. Captured heroes, wired with deadman switches. If she's threatened, exposed, or killed, the charges detonate. She takes the entire helicarrier and everyone aboard with her. How many hostages? Captain America asked, his tactical mind already calculating rescue scenarios. 47, last I heard. Heroes, agents, support staff. All good people. All dead if Varank triggers the failsafe. Kiehlka looked directly at Goku. That's why I needed to tell you. You can sense where people are. Detect energy signatures through walls and shields. You're the only one who could infiltrate the helicarrier, locate the hostages, and disable the dead man's switches before Varank knows you're coming. Except the second he appears on the helicarrier. Sensors will track him, Iron Man pointed out. We can't exactly sneak in someone who radiates energy like a walking nuclear reactor. Actually, Goku said thoughtfully, I can suppress my ki almost completely. It's a technique I learned training with King Kai. Makes me basically invisible to energy detection, though I can't fight at full power while doing it. Reed Richards looked up from the relay device he'd been examining. Fascinating. You can voluntarily reduce your energy signature to baseline human levels. Lower, if I really concentrate. Done it before when I needed to. Sneak past enemies who could sense power levels Goku's expression grew serious. But if this Varank person is as strong as a real Spider-Woman and has Skrull abilities on top of that, fighting her while suppressed would be risky. You won't be fighting her, Captain America said firmly. Your mission is hostage extraction only. The rest of us will handle Varank, draw her out, engage her, keep her distracted while you work. She's dangerous, but she's one. Skrull against every Avenger who isn't currently replaced or captured. Speaking of which, Fury interjected, we need to verify everyone on this operation. Goku, I need you to scan every person in this room right now. Confirm they're who they claim to be. If we're hitting the Queen herself, we can't afford a single infiltrator in our strike team. Goku nodded, extending his senses methodically through each hero present. Captain America, steady and unshakable, like a shield made manifest. Iron Man, complicated energy interfacing with technology. Distinctly Tony Stark's specific signature. Thor, divine power that tasted like lightning and storm winds. Unmistakably Asgardian. Spider-Man, young, bright, touched by something radioactive and strange, but genuinely Peter Parker beneath the mask. Wolverine, feral healing factor wrapped around adamantium skeleton. Impossibly old yet unchanging. Everyone here is real, Goku confirmed. No flickering, no copies. Then we move fast. Before Varank realizes her spy defected, Fury activated a secure comm channel. All teams, prepare for immediate deployment. Target is Helicarrier Delta. Authorization Fury Alpha Zero. This is not a drill. The next hour blurred into preparation. Goku worked with SHIELD technicians to develop a suppression protocol. He'd maintain minimal key signature while they masked. Even that with electronic countermeasures. Reed Richards provided specifications for the helicarrier's internal layout, highlighting where hostages might be held based on similar vessels' designs. Tony upgraded everyone's armor and equipment with failsafes against Skrull infiltration, biometric, locks that verified genetic markers every 30 seconds. Impossible to fake even with perfect copying. Spider-Man approached Goku while he practiced suppression techniques in a training room. The young hero had been quiet since Kyoka's revelation, his usual quips replaced with brooding silence. Hey, Peter said, mask pulled back to reveal a face that looked far too young to carry the weight pressing down on his shoulders. Can I ask you something? Sure, Goku said, pausing his meditation. His ki had dropped to barely perceptible levels, making him feel almost human to his own senses, an odd, constrained sensation he'd never enjoyed. How do you do it? Trust people so easily when anyone could be an enemy? I've been second-guessing every conversation, every team-up, wondering if the person I'm talking to is even real. It's exhausting, but you just help people. No hesitation. Goku considered the question carefully. Where I'm from, I've fought people who were mind-controlled, or absorbed, or replaced by copies. I've died and come back. I've watched friends become enemies and enemies become friends. And yet, it's scary not knowing who to trust. But I learned something. If you let fear stop you from helping people who need it, the bad guys win even if they lose the fight. Peter laughed without humor. That's either really wise or really naive. I can't tell which. Maybe both. Goku's smile was gentle. Look, I'm not saying trust everyone blindly. Your Captain America has that right. Verify, prepare contingencies, stay alert. But don't let the possibility of betrayal make you forget why you're fighting in the first place. You protect people because it's right, not because they've earned it or proved they're trustworthy. Even if they turn out to be Skrulls. Even then, because the real people you save, the ones who aren't enemies wearing masks, they're counting on heroes who will help them regardless of risk. Goku stood, his energy signature flaring, for just a moment before, suppressing again, a demonstration of the power he could call on if needed, and the restraint required to hold it back. Besides, you've got me now. I can spot the fakes. That should help, right? Peter's expression lightened slightly. Yeah, it does. Thanks, Goku. Anytime, Spider-Man. The Quinjet approached Helicarrier Delta under cloak. Its stealth systems pushed to maximum, while Goku sat cross-legged in the cargo bay. His ki suppressed so thoroughly he barely registered as living to the scanners. Inside his mind, he maintained a perfect image of calm, no spikes, no fluctuations, nothing that might alert their target. 30 seconds to infiltration point, the pilot announced. Goku, you're up. He stood, moving to the rear hatch. The helicarrier floated below them, a massive flying fortress that made Bulma's aircraft look like toys. But size didn't matter. What mattered was the 47 people inside, whose lives depended on him staying invisible until the exact right moment. Good luck, Captain America said, extending his hand. Goku clasped it firmly. Don't need luck when you've got training, Goku replied with a grin. Just keep that fake Spider-Woman busy once I signal. And Captain, when you fight her, remember, she's been studying all of you for years. She'll know your moves before you make them. Then we'll have to improvise, Steve said, and his smile carried the confidence of a man who'd been outnumbered before and won anyway. We're good at that. The hatch opened. Wind screamed into the cargo bay, and Goku stepped out into empty air. He didn't fly. That would have created an energy signature. Instead, he fell, controlling his descent with minimal ki expenditure, making himself dense enough to cut through wind resistance while maintaining near-zero detectability. The helicarrier's hull rushed up to meet him, and at the last possible second, he arrested his fall, landing on the flight deck with a whisper-soft impact that wouldn't have registered on any sensor. Guards patrolled nearby, but none looked his direction. To them, to their instruments, he simply didn't exist. Goku crossed the flight deck like a shadow, finding a maintenance hatch that Reed Richards had identified as leading to the vessel's interior systems. It opened to his enhanced strength with barely a sound, and he slipped inside, closing it behind him. The helicarrier's corridors hummed with activity, agents moving between stations, heroes coordinating defensive operations. The organized chaos of Earth's defenders trying to win an unwinnable war. None of them knew their commander was the enemy. None of them realized every order they followed brought them closer to extinction. Goku extended his senses carefully, searching for the specific signatures Kyulka had described. Hostages would feel weak, drained, their life energy suppressed by whatever systems held them captive. And there, down 3 decks, aft section, behind walls reinforced with Skrull alloys, he felt them. 47 flickering lights in the darkness, barely holding on. But between him and them, on the command deck directly above the hostage location, burned an energy signature that made his combat instincts flare with warning. Powerful, controlled, and underneath the copied human signature. Something cold and ancient, and utterly focused on one goal: conquest. Queen Varank. Goku started moving, staying in maintenance corridors, avoiding contact. He had one job: save the hostages. The Avengers would handle the Queen. He just hoped they understood what they were really up against. On the command deck, Jessica Drew, who was not Jessica Drew, smiled at a tactical display showing Earth's defenders struggling across 3 continents. Everything proceeded according to plan. In 3 weeks, the weapon would activate. In 3 weeks, humanity would cease to exist as a species, and there was absolutely nothing they could do to stop it. Her communicator chirped. My queen, we have a situation. The spy Kyulka has defected. Varank's smile never wavered. I know. I've always known she would. Kyulka was always weak, too susceptible to human emotion. That's why I fed her false information. About the weapons, location, and timeline. She turned from the display, her eyes gleaming with something that transcended mere satisfaction. Prepare the real facility. If the humans want to attack Denver, let them. They'll find nothing but a trap. And the Scion? A complication, but manageable. He can detect our kind, but he can't be everywhere at once. And we have something he's never encountered before, a Super Skrull designed specifically to fight beings of his power level. Let him come. Let them all come. Varank's hand moved to a hidden console, her fingers dancing across controls that would trigger protocols the Avengers didn't even know existed. It's time Earth learned what it really means to face an empire that has conquered 1,000 worlds. Far below, Goku felt the sudden spike of energy as massive systems activated. Throughout the helicarrier, his suppression dropped instantly, his full power blazing to life as he realized the truth. They'd walked into a trap, and 47 hostages were about to die. Goku moved faster than thought, his golden aura erupting as Super Saiyan. Transformation obliterated any pretense of stealth. The helicarrier's walls blurred past him. He punched through bulkheads rather than waste time with doors. Sensing the deadman switches activating in sequence. Charges priming to detonate in the hostage compartment. 3 seconds until explosion. 2 seconds. 1. His hand slammed into the reinforced door, tearing it from its housing with a shriek of tortured metal. Inside, 47 people hung suspended in energy fields. Explosive collars locked around their necks. Countdown displays ticking toward 0. Real heroes: Mockingbird, Wonder Man, Stature. Others he didn't recognize, but whose energy signatures screamed exhaustion and desperation. No time to disable them individually. No time for anything except one desperate gamble. Goku's instant transmission activated. His fingers pressed to his forehead. His senses locking onto the Quinjet's power signature miles away, and he pulled. Not just himself this time, everyone. All 47 hostages, their suspension fields. Even chunks of the bulkhead around them. Reality twisted, space compressed. And for one impossible moment, 50 souls occupied the same dimensional coordinate. Then they were in the Quinjet's cargo bay, materialized in a tangle of unconscious heroes and blinking energy restraints. The explosive collars, disconnected from their master control, sparked once and went inert. Goku collapsed to his knees, his Super Saiyan aura flickering as the massive instant transmission drained him. Teleporting one person across dimensions took effort. Teleporting 47, plus equipment, while maintaining their life support systems. That pushed even Saiyan limits. He did it, the pilot breathed, staring at the impossible cargo manifested in his aircraft. He actually, incoming. The helicarrier erupted in light. Not explosion, transformation. The entire vessel's hull rippled like water, sections reforming. Weapons emerging from surfaces that had appeared merely decorative. Skrull technology, hidden in plain sight for years, finally revealing its true nature. And from the command deck, a figure launched skyward wreathed in green energy and crimson webs. Queen Varank had abandoned her disguise. Her true Skrull form stood revealed, taller than Jessica Drew had ever been. Her features sharp and regal, her power amplified by decades of training and the stolen abilities of 100 conquered heroes. Avengers. Captain America's voice crackled over every comm channel. The helicarrier is hostile. All personnel evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Iron Man shot from the attacking Quinjet like a missile, his armor's weapons systems. Screaming lock warnings as the transformed helicarrier's guns tracked him. Jarvis, tell me you're getting this. Sir, the vessel has been Skrull technology since construction. Everything we thought we knew about its capabilities was deliberately understated. Current readings suggest weapons powerful enough to level Manhattan in under 3 minutes. Wonderful. Love Mondays. Tony barrel rolled through incoming fire, his repulsors carving scorched lines across the helicarrier's hull. The armor barely penetrated. Whatever the Skrulls had used to build this thing, it wasn't human metallurgy. Thor descended from storm clouds he'd called purely by existing. Mjolnir crackling with lightning that could shatter mountains. Varank. Face me, Shapestealer. Face the son of Odin and know thunder's judgment. The Skrull Queen met his charge midair, her body shifting to absorb his hammer strike. She became dense as diamond, then liquid as water, flowing around Mjolnir's arc before reforming, with hands wreathed in cosmic energy stolen from Ms. Marvel. Her blast caught Thor's center mass, sending the god tumbling through the sky. Impressive, Varank said, her voice carrying despite the howling wind. But you fight one queen with the strength of an empire. I've copied the powers of 50 of your greatest champions. You cannot win. Spider-Man swung between them, his webbing targeting Varank's eyes, a distraction more than an attack. Yeah? Well, I've got, like, 3 powers total, and I'm super annoying. Let's see which matters more. Varank's hand snapped out, catching the web line and yanking. Peter flew toward her, but Wolverine intercepted. The Canadian berserker had leapt from a Quinjet, without a parachute, his healing factor making him functionally unkillable and absolutely willing to weaponize that fact. His claws found Varank's shoulder, sinking deep, but she merely smiled and activated another stolen power. Her body erupted in flames hot enough to make Wolverine scream. Human Torch's abilities turned against the hero trying to stop her. Logan fell, smoking and regenerating, his healing factor already knitting charred. Flesh back together before he hit the clouds below. You see, Varank spread her arms wide, a goddess of war floating above her transformed fortress. Every hero who ever trusted me gave me their weakness. Every power you possess, I've studied and surpassed. The Scion was an unexpected variable, but even he can't be everywhere at once. While you fight me here, my forces activate the weapon in. A golden blur slammed into her like a comet. Goku had recovered enough for round 2, and his patience for villains. Monologuing had expired. Approximately 30 seconds ago, his fist drove into Varank's gut with force that created a visible shockwave. Then, his elbow found her chin, his knee her ribs. His spinning kick her temple, a combination so fast that individual strikes blurred into one continuous assault. Varank crashed through her own helicarrier's hull, plowing through 3 decks before catching herself. Her form rippled, adapting, copying. She felt the Scion's energy pattern, tried to replicate his strength, his speed, his power. Nothing happened. I told them, Goku said, floating in the hole he'd created, his Super Scion aura painting everything gold. You can't copy Ki. It's not a power you're born with or gained through accident. It's life energy refined through training, discipline, and spirit. And you. His eyes narrowed. Your spirit's rotten. Varank snarled, abandoning attempts to copy what she couldn't understand. Instead, she layered every power she'd stolen into one devastating assault. Cyclops' optic blasts, Storm's lightning, Iceman's freeze, Human Torch's flame, all directed at a single target with surgical precision. Goku crossed his arms, his aura flaring brighter. The attacks struck him head-on, and for a moment, he vanished in the maelstrom of conflicting energies. Then his voice cut through the chaos. My turn. His Kamehameha erupted from the heart of Varank's assault, a pillar of blue-white energy that dwarfed everything the Skrull Queen had thrown at him. It wasn't his full power, couldn't be, not without risking everyone still evacuating the helicarrier, but it was enough to send Varank rocketing backward, her stolen invulnerability barely keeping her alive. She crashed into the Atlantic Ocean miles below, the impact creating a geyser visible from shore. Goku, Captain America, called from a Quinjet, the weapon facility. If Kyulka was telling the truth about being fed false information, we need to find the real location. Already on it, Iron Man said, his voice tight with focus. I've been tracing Skrull communication patterns since we hit the helicarrier. They're using quantum entanglement for FTL messaging, ridiculously advanced. But it leaves a signature if you know what to look for. I'm getting pings from, oh no. What? Multiple voices demanded simultaneously. Not Denver. Not even close. The real facility is in New York, underneath Manhattan. They've been building there. DNA conversion weapon literally beneath the city we've been defending, probably using our own power grid to charge it. Tony's holographic display showed a three-dimensional map of subway, tunnels, sewers, and something much deeper, a massive chamber that shouldn't exist. It's directly under Stark Tower. They've been stealing my electricity for months. How long until activation? Captain America asked. Jarvis estimates 72 hours based on current power draw. 3 days until they flip the switch and turn 8 million people into Skrulls. Goku's fists clenched. Then we stop it. Storm the facility. Destroy the weapon. It's not that simple, Reed Richards interjected over the comm. A weapon of this scale would have massive energy reserves, antimatter containment, probably exotic matter stabilizers. If we just destroy it, the explosion could level the entire eastern seaboard. We need to shut it down correctly, which means infiltrating, accessing their systems, and disabling it from within. Infiltrating a facility full of Skrulls who can look like anyone, Spider-Man said. Great. My favorite thing. Right after root canals and tax audits. We have one advantage, Captain America said, his tactical mind already assembling the pieces. They don't know we know about the real facility. Varank thought she'd fed Kyulka false information that we'd act on. As far as the Skrulls are concerned, we're about to waste resources attacking an empty facility in Denver while the real weapon charges undisturbed. So we hit them fast. Before they realized their queen's plan failed, Wolverine growled, pulling himself back into a Quinjet with the help of extended claws and pure stubbornness. His body had regenerated from the fire damage. But his costume was basically charcoal at this point. I like it. Simple, direct, probably suicidal. There's another problem, Tony said quietly. The facilities. Beneath one of the most densely populated areas on Earth, we can't evacuate millions of people without causing panic and tipping off the Skrulls that we know. Whatever we do it with 8 million civilians directly overhead. The weight of that settled over the comm channel like a burial shroud. One mistake, one miscalculation, and they wouldn't just fail to save humanity, they'd kill millions in the attempt. I'll go, Goku said. Your read said the facility needs to be shut down from inside, right? I can get in, fight through whatever guards they have, and hold off their forces while your tech people disable the weapon. I've fought in tougher situations. Not by much, but they didn't need to know that. You'd be going in alone against an entire Skrull command base, Captain America pointed out. Dozens of Super Skrulls, possibly hundreds of regular soldiers, all in an enclosed space, where your energy attacks could compromise the weapon's containment. Then I won't use energy attacks. I'll fight hand to hand, keep it controlled, protect the civilians overhead. Goku's smile returned, fierce and eager despite the desperate circumstances. Besides, I'm not alone. You've got heroes here who can help, right? Damn right we do, Ms. Marvel said, her photonic aura flaring bright enough to illuminate the cloud layer. Goku buys time and muscle. Tony and Reed handle the technical shutdown. Cap coordinates above ground containment. The rest of us form a perimeter and make sure nothing gets past us to interrupt the operation. There's still Varank, Thor rumbled, his gaze fixed on the ocean where the Skrull Queen had impacted. She lives yet. I can sense her power, reforming, adapting. She will return, and when she does, the Atlantic exploded upward as if a nuclear warhead had detonated beneath the waves. Varank rose from the geyser. Her form evolved again, she'd copied Namor's aquatic abilities during her fall, adapted Hulk's regeneration from genetic samples, layered adamantium density over her bones from studying Wolverine. Each defeat made her stronger, every encounter teaching her new tricks. And now she wasn't alone. Behind her, rising from the ocean in formation, came 12 more Super Skrulls. Each one burned with stolen powers. Their energy signatures a patchwork of Earth's mightiest heroes all combined into purpose-built weapons. One crackled with Thor and Storm's lightning. Another wielded replicas of Captain America's shield and Iron Man's repulsors. A third shifted between solid, liquid, and gaseous states with the abilities of Iceman, Vision, and Kitty Pryde merged impossibly into one being. Did you think I came unprepared? Varank's voice carried across the distance, amplified by copied Banshee sonics. The facility charges as we speak. You can fight me here, or you can try to stop the weapon. But you cannot do both. Choose, heroes. Choose which millions die today. Goku looked at the assembled Super Skrulls, calculated the odds, and felt his scion blood sing with anticipation. 13 opponents who'd copied the powers of Earth's finest, all between him and innocent people who needed protection. Finally, a real challenge. Cap, he said into his calm, his voice calm despite the impossible odds. Get your people to that facility. I'll handle the Queen and her friends. Goku, that's suicide. No, Goku interrupted gently. That's Tuesday. Where I'm from, fighting overwhelming odds to protect people is just another day of training. These Skrulls want to see what I can really do. His aura exploded outward. Super Saiyan transformation pushing toward the next level. Golden hair lengthening, muscles expanding, power doubling and redoubling. Let's show them why you don't threaten a Scion's adopted planet. Super Saiyan 2's lightning crackled around him, and Goku smiled. Time to get serious. The air itself screamed as Goku moved. Super Saiyan 2's lightning carved white scars across the sky, his speed transcending what even Earth's fastest heroes could track. He hit the first Super Skrull, the one with Thor and Storm's powers, before it could finish gathering its lightning, his fist driving through its electrical aura like it was tissue paper. The Skrull's copied godly durability meant it survived, but the Force still sent it pinwheeling into the stratosphere. 11 left, plus Varank, all converging. The shield dam repulsor Skrull through Captain America's weapon with perfect technique, the disc humming as it carved through air toward Goku's head. He caught it one-handed without looking, his other hand firing a precise ki blast. that melted the Skrull's copied armor without, killing the warrior inside. The shield continued past him, boomeranging back toward its thrower. But Goku was already gone, appearing behind the phasing Skrull, his knee driving into its spine with just enough force to shatter concentration and drop it from the sky. 9. He's faster than our projections indicated. One of the Super Skrulls reported, its voice a blend of Cyclops and Colossus. Recommend pattern Delta 7, containment formation. Goku's elbow found its jaw, cutting off tactical analysis. These Skrulls fought like soldiers, coordinated and disciplined. Good training, smart tactics. But they'd learned from heroes who held back, who worried about collateral damage, who fought to capture rather than destroy. Goku wasn't holding back anymore, not with millions of lives in the balance. His Kamehameha erupted at point-blank range, deliberately aimed away from the city, out over the Atlantic where the worst it could do was boil some ocean. 3 Super Skrulls, caught in the blast, managed to survive through copied durability and desperate power combinations, but they fell smoking and unconscious into the waves below. 6. Plus Varank. The Skrull Queen watched her elite guard fall with an expression that might have been admiration under different circumstances. Impressive, but you're still one warrior against an empire. While you fight here, my weapon charges. Every second you delay is a second closer to humanity's extinction. That's why I'm not delaying, Goku said, and vanished. Instant transmission carried him directly behind Varank, his fist already moving toward the base of her skull, a precise strike that would render her unconscious without killing. But she twisted impossibly, her body flowing like water through his attack, and her counter-assault came from 6 directions simultaneously. Copied spider sense had warned her. Copied speedster reflexes let her react. And copied elastic powers meant her limbs stretched and multiplied beyond normal anatomy. Goku blocked, dodged, parried, but one strike got through. A spike of hardened alien crystal that punched into his shoulder. It hurt, actually hurt. The first real damage he'd taken since arriving in this universe. His blood fell in golden drops toward the ocean far below. Vibranium, Varank said, her arm reverting to normal as she studied the blood on her transformed weapon. From Black Panther's samples. The only earth metal that can pierce your energy-reinforced skin. I've studied you, Scion. Every battle you've fought here, every technique you've displayed. I know your patterns now. Yeah. Goku ripped the crystal from his shoulder, letting his natural healing close the wound. Problem with studying someone's patterns, you only see what they've shown you. And I've been holding back this whole time. His aura shifted. Golden lightning intensified until it painted the sky white. His hair lengthening further, power climbing to levels that made the remaining Super Skrulls instinctively retreat. Super Saiyan 3's transformation had always been his trump card, the form that pushed him beyond mortal limits into something approaching divine. But it burned energy fast, too fast for a prolonged battle. He'd have minutes, maybe less, before exhaustion forced him back down, which meant ending this immediately. Varank felt the power shift and adapted. Instantly, her form exploded, with stolen energies, layering every defensive ability she'd copied into one ultimate shield. Hulk's durability, Luke Cage's unbreakable skin, Sue Storm's force fields, Vision's density manipulation, all combined into a defense that had withstood planetary bombardment. Goku hit it anyway. His fist met Varank's defense, and for one frozen moment, nothing happened. Then physics remembered it had a job to do. The shockwave expanded in a perfect sphere, displacing clouds, boiling ocean water, rattling windows in Manhattan miles away. Varank's ultimate defense held for exactly 3 seconds before it shattered, like glass, and Goku's follow-up combination drove her down into the Atlantic with impacts that registered on seismographs in 3 states. She hit the ocean floor 2 miles deep, cratering ancient bedrock, and stayed there. The remaining Super Skrulls looked at each other, their copied tactical intelligence, running calculations that all reached the same conclusion: they couldn't win. Not against this. Whatever the Scion was, whatever dimension had spawned him, he operated on a power scale their empire hadn't accounted for. Retreat, the lead Skrull commanded. Alert command. Category 7 threat assessment. Request. No, Goku said, appearing among them so fast they didn't see him move until he was already there. His hands moved in precise strikes, hitting nerve clusters and pressure, points that Master Rashi had taught him decades ago. Non-lethal, but instantly incapacitating. 5 Super Skrulls fell in as many seconds, alive but unconscious. The last one, the electricity wielder, having finally returned from the stratosphere, raised its hands in surrender. Wait. I sleep, Goku said gently, and tapped its forehead. The Skrull's eyes rolled back, and it fell. Silence settled over the battlefield, broken only by the sound of waves and distant thunder. Goku floated there, Super Saiyan 3's power already fading back to normal. The form had lasted 90 seconds. Maybe less. But 90 seconds had been enough. Goku, Iron Man's voice crackled over the comm, urgent and tight. We're at the facility entrance. Security's heavier than expected, automated defenses, bioscanners, energy shields that'll trigger alarms if we force them. We need a distraction or we'll alert every Skrull in Manhattan. Goku looked down at the ocean where Varank had cratered the seafloor. His senses detected her energy signature. Still alive, but definitely not in fighting shape anytime soon. The Super Skrulls floated unconscious around him, no longer a threat. On my way, he said, pressing his fingers to his forehead. He locked onto Tony's arc reactor signature, distinctive, unique, impossible to mistake for anyone else, and activated instant transmission. Reality twisted, and he materialized in a subway tunnel deep beneath Manhattan. The Avengers stood before a wall that looked like normal concrete until you examined it with enhanced senses. Behind that facade, Goku felt massive energy reserves, complex machinery, and dozens of Skrull guards patrolling. A facility that absolutely shouldn't exist beneath one of Earth's largest cities. Took you long enough, Wolverine grumbled, though his nose detected the blood on Goku's uniform. You win. For now. Their queen's down, but not out. And I left a bunch of Super Skrulls floating in the Atlantic. Shield should probably pick them up before they wake up. Cranky. Goku studied the concealed entrance, his senses mapping out the facility beyond. How many guards inside? Jarvis counts 63 distinct heat signatures, Tony reported. At least a dozen of those register as Super Skrulls based on power output. The rest are regular troops. But regular still means shape-shifting aliens with combat training. And the weapon itself is in the central chamber, heavily shielded, with what looks like a dead man switch in case we try anything heroic. Another dead man switch? Spider-Man groaned. Why is it always a dead man switch? Because villains watch the same movies we do, Tony said. Reed, you're sure you can disarm it? Reed Richards stretched his hand through a hairline crack in the facade, his elastic fingers analyzing the technology beyond. The weapon's operating system uses quantum encryption based on Skrull genetic markers. I can crack it, but I'll need time, at least 20 minutes once I'm inside, completely undisturbed. Which means we hold off 63 Skrulls in an enclosed space where energy attacks could destabilize the weapon and kill millions. Captain America finished. His shield rested against his shoulder, his expression carved from the same determination that had stormed Normandy decades ago. We've faced worse odds. Name one time, Spider-Man challenged. Atlantis invasion of '07. Ultron siege. That Tuesday with the, okay, we've faced worse odds multiple times. Point made. Peter checked his web shooters nervously. Doesn't make this less terrifying. Goku placed a hand on Spider-Man's shoulder, feeling the young hero's anxiety like a living thing. You'll do fine. Just remember, you're not protecting the weapon or the facility. You're protecting the 8 million people who have no idea this battle's happening. That's what makes you a hero. Peter's posture straightened slightly. Yeah, you're right. Let's do this. Goku, Captain America said quietly. Inside that facility, you can't use your big attacks. No Kamehameha waves, or whatever else you call them. The weapon's antimatter core is stable now, but any significant energy discharge could trigger a cascade failure. Hand-to-hand only, Goku confirmed. I've fought in worse conditions. There was this one time in Otherworld where I couldn't fly or use ki. Had to beat an entire army of demons with just martial arts. Good training. He cracked his knuckles, his smile returning. Besides, sometimes it's nice to keep things simple. Tony's armor interfaced with the concealed entrance, his technology conversing with Skrull. systems and languages that predated human civilization. All right, I'm bypassing there. Security now. We've got a 30-second window before their systems reset and realize they've been compromised. Everyone in, fast and quiet. The wall dissolved, revealing a corridor that descended into the Earth's crust, lit by bioluminescent technology that pulsed like a living heartbeat. The Avengers moved as one, decades of team experience, letting them flow through the entrance in perfect formation. Captain America took point, his shield ready. Wolverine flanked, his senses tracking scents and sounds beyond normal perception. Iron Man and Reed Richards stayed in the middle, protected by the Warriors. Spider-Man covered the rear. His spider sensed the best early warning system for ambushes. And Goku walked among them. His ki suppressed, but ready to explode into action, the instant combat began. The corridor stretched for 100 yards before, opening into a massive chamber that stole breath with its impossible scale. The facility was enormous, easily the size of Madison Square Garden, hollowed out of bedrock that should have collapsed under Manhattan's weight, but didn't thanks to technology that treated physics as polite suggestions. And in the chamber's center, suspended in crackling energy fields, hung the weapon that would end humanity. It looked like a massive crystalline sphere, 20 feet in diameter, its surface covered in patterns that hurt to perceive directly. Energy fed into it from dozens of conduits connected to the city's power grid above. The weapon hummed with barely contained power, and Goku's senses recoiled. From the wrongness of it, this thing wasn't meant to create or protect. It existed solely to transform, to corrupt, to remake humanity into something alien. 63 hours, 14 minutes until activation, Reed said, his instruments scanning the weapon from a distance. But there's a problem. The device is charging faster than our initial calculations projected. Someone's feeding it additional power from an external source. Which means someone knows we're here, Captain America said. The lights went out. In the darkness, 63 Skrull energy signatures flared to life, surrounding them completely. Goku's enhanced vision cut through the blackness, showing him warriors emerging from concealed alcoves, dropping from elevated positions, phasing through walls. They'd walked into a prepared ambush, and the Skrulls had been waiting for exactly this moment. Emergency lighting flickered on, red and angry, painting everything the color of blood. A Skrull stepped forward from the assembled warriors, tall, armored in technology that made Tony's suit look primitive, and radiating power that exceeded even Varang's. Its voice echoed through the chamber, translated by technology into a dozen languages simultaneously. Welcome, Avengers. We've been expecting you. I am KLRT, the first and greatest of the Super Skrulls. The one who wears the powers of your Fantastic Four like a second skin. The one who has never been defeated. It gestured to the weapon behind it. You will not leave this place. You will not stop the transformation. And when this is done, when humanity has been remade in our image, you will watch from cages as your species dies and your planet becomes another jewel in the Empire's crown. Goku stepped forward, his normal form seeming almost fragile compared to the assembled might surrounding them. But his voice carried across the chamber with absolute confidence. I've heard that speech before. From Frisia, from Cell, from Majin Buu, from a lot of bad guys who thought they'd already won. His smile was gentle, almost pitying. They were all wrong too. And you know what the funny part is? The stronger they thought they were, the harder they fell. KLRT's expression shifted to something that might have been amusement. Bold words from someone standing in our stronghold, outnumbered, outmaneuvered, with no escape and no hope. Tell me, Scion, do you truly believe you can defeat the pride of the Skrull Empire? Goku's aura erupted, golden light driving back the red emergency lighting, Super Saiyan transformation announcing that playtime had ended. Let's find out. The battle began not with words or warnings, but with KLRT's immediate assault. A combination attack that layered Human Torch's flame, Thing's strength, Mr. Fantastic's elasticity, and Invisible Woman's force fields into one devastating offensive. The Super Skrull moved with the confidence of a warrior who'd conquered planets, his every technique perfected through centuries of combat. Goku met him head-on. Their collision created a shockwave that cracked the facilities, reinforced walls. But Goku controlled his output precisely. Enough force to match KLRT's assault, not enough to destabilize the weapon looming behind them. His fist drove into the Super Skrull's guard, testing defenses, reading patterns. KLRT's rocky hide absorbed the impact. His elastic limbs stretched to grapple. His flames roared to burn. His force fields compressed to crush. But Goku had fought the Jinyu Force, warriors who could swap bodies and steal techniques. He'd battled Cell, who'd absorbed the abilities of Earth's greatest fighters. Copied powers were nothing new. What mattered was the warrior wielding them. And KLRT, for all his stolen abilities, had never faced someone who'd trained under gods. Goku slipped through the grapple like water, his elbow finding a gap in the rocky armor that shouldn't have existed. KLRT's head snapped back, surprise flashing across his features before discipline reasserted control. He retaliated with flame hot enough to melt steel. But Goku's ki aura deflected it harmlessly, the heat washing around him without purchase. Interesting, KLRT said, his tactical mind already adapting. Your energy field operates on principles outside our understanding. But you're restraining yourself? I can feel it. Afraid of damaging the weapon? Smart. It means you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back. Don't need both hands, Goku replied, and proved it. His speed doubled, then tripled. Super Saiyan power ramping up, while keeping energy discharge minimal. Each strike landed with mathematical precision. Ribs, solar plexus, kidney, jaw. Pressure points that Master Roshi had drilled into him until they became instinct. KLRT's copied durability meant the blows didn't kill. But pain was pain regardless of physiology. Around them, the rest of the battle erupted in controlled chaos. Captain America's shield carved through 3 Skrull soldiers before returning to his hand, each throw calculated to neutralize without lethal force. Wolverine became a whirlwind of adamantium claws, his healing factor letting him wade into the densest combat, without fear while his enhanced senses tracked enemies attempting stealth. Spider-Man's webs created a 3-dimensional battlefield, constraining warriors to specific zones where the Avengers' superior coordination could overwhelm numerical advantage. And Iron Man stood guard over Reed Richards, his armor's weapon systems firing non-lethal repulsor bursts in precise patterns that kept the Skrulls from interfering with the scientist working frantically at a makeshift terminal connected to the weapons control systems. Reed, progress report. Tony shouted, his heads-up display tracking 17 simultaneous threats while Jarvis calculated firing solutions faster than human thought. The encryption is more complex than anticipated. Reed's elongated fingers danced across alien interfaces, his malleable form letting him interface with multiple systems simultaneously. They've layered quantum locks over temporal paradoxes over genetic markers that rewrite themselves every nanosecond. Brilliant, really. If I had a week. You have 12 minutes. Captain America blocked a Skrull power blade with his shield, the impact sending sparks across the metal star. That's how long we can hold them before they overrun our position. A Super Skrull broke through Spider-Man's web barrier, this one combined Colossus's metal form with Kitty Pryde's phasing, making it simultaneously invulnerable and intangible. It charged toward Reed Richards, death in its eyes, and Tony's repulsors fired at maximum non-lethal yield. The beams passed through the phasing Skrull harmlessly. Oh, that's just cheating, Tony muttered, pivoting to intercept physically. His armor's density manipulation couldn't quite match phasing technology. But he could. Goku appeared between the Skrull and Reed, his hand catching the enemy's wrist mid-strike. The Skrull tried to phase, but Goku's ki-reinforced grip transcended simple physical law where there was life, energy. He could interact, regardless of dimensional tricks. His other hand pressed to the Skrull's forehead, and he released just enough controlled ki to overload its nervous system without killing. The Super Skrull dropped, unconscious before it hit the ground. Keep working, Reed, Goku said calmly, then blurred back toward KLRT, who'd used the momentary distraction to unleash a nova of flame, combined with crushing force fields. The attack would have vaporized normal humans, collapsed lungs and boiled blood, and turned bone to ash. Goku walked through it like morning mist. You're strong, he acknowledged, his Super Saiyan aura flickering gold and white. Probably the strongest Skrull I've fought. But you're using borrowed powers, and you don't understand what makes them work. The Human Torch's flames are hot, sure, but Johnny Storm isn't dangerous just because he can burn things. He's dangerous because he never gives up, never surrenders. And his heat is driven by passion and heart. You've got the flames, but you're missing the fire. KLRT's expression hardened. Philosophy won't save you, Scion. The Empire conquers through strength, not sentiment. Yeah, I've heard that before too. Goku's stance shifted. Muscle memory from a lifetime of martial arts flowing through his form. Usually right before the guy saying it loses. They clashed again, faster now. Both warriors abandoning restraint within the limits of their environment. KLRT fought with the precision of military training and centuries of experience. Goku fought with instinct honed through battles against gods, demons, and beings who'd threatened entire universes. Different paths, different philosophies, but equal mastery of combat. The facility shook with each exchange. Other Skrulls tried to interfere, to overwhelm the Scion through numbers. But Wolverine and Captain America formed a defensive perimeter that nothing penetrated. Logan's claws found every gap in Skrull armor, every weak point in their tactics. Steve's shield became an extension of his will, protecting allies while dismantling enemies with the efficiency of a man who'd been winning impossible battles since before most of them were born. 7 minutes. Iron Man called out, his armor now showing scorch marks and dents from sustained combat. Reed, tell me you're close. I'm decrypting the final layer now. But there's a secondary failsafe I didn't account for. If I shut down the weapon incorrectly, it triggers an immediate activation rather than a cancellation. I need to map every connection, trace every power flow, ensure perfect synchronization. Reed's voice trailed off into muttered calculations that existed in mathematical dimensions humans weren't equipped to comprehend. A new Super Skrull entered the battle. This one wore powers stolen from mutants, combining Cyclopses, optic blasts with magnetos, electromagnetic manipulation, and Jean Grey's telekinesis. 3 of the X-Men's most powerful abilities, united in one hostile body. Its optic beams carved through steel support columns. Its magnetic fields ripped weapons from Avenger hands. And its telekinesis created crushing pressure that made breathing an effort. Spider-Man went down first, his web shooters crushed by magnetic force. Wolverine followed. His adamantium skeleton turned against him as electromagnetic power lifted him off the ground and slammed him into walls repeatedly. Even Captain America struggled, his shield yanked from his grip to hover uselessly in the air. Jarvis, redirect power from life support to electromagnetic shielding, Tony commanded, his armor systems straining against the assault. I don't care if it means I can't breathe. Keep our equipment functional. The X-Men's Super Skrull advanced toward Reed Richards, multiple powers charging for a kill shot that would end the scientist and guarantee the weapons activation. Iron Man moved to intercept, but KLRT engaged him instead, the first Super Skrull, using his superior combat experience to tie up Earth's armored defender. Reed, Captain America shouted, throwing himself toward his teammate despite having no shield, no weapon, nothing but his own body to interpose between scientist and certain death. He wouldn't make it in time, but Goku would. Instant transmission carried him across the battlefield in 0 seconds, materializing directly in front of the X-Men Skrull. The optic blast hit him square in the chest. The telekinetic crush surrounded him completely. The electromagnetic pulse tried to disrupt his nervous system. Powers that had defeated the X-Men themselves, combined and amplified, all focused on a single target. Goku's aura flared, and the attacks simply stopped. You know what the difference is between you and the real Cyclops? Goku asked conversationally, his hand reaching out to grab the Skrull's face with gentle but absolute pressure. Scott Summers spent years learning to control power that terrified him, mastering abilities that could kill everyone he loved. He earned those optic blasts through discipline and sacrifice. You just stole them. And stolen power is never as strong as the real thing. His grip tightened fractionally, and the Super Skrull's consciousness fled into darkness. For minutes, Tony's voice had lost its usual sarcasm, replaced with the edge of someone watching a countdown to apocalypse. Reed, whatever you're going to do. Got it. Reed's triumphant shout cut through the chaos. The encryption's cracked. The fail-safes are mapped. I can shut it down cleanly. I just need 30 seconds of. The wall exploded inward, not breached by weapons, but torn open by bare hands wreathed in stolen power and imperial fury. Queen Varank stood in the gap. Her form evolved beyond what she'd been. Ocean pressure had compressed her. Near death had adapted her. Rage had refined her into something approaching perfection of the Skrull form. She radiated power that made the other. Super Skrulls looked like children, playing at war. And her eyes, when they found Goku, promised death. You, she hissed, her voice layered with harmonics stolen from a dozen different heroes. You've cost me my fleet, my soldiers, my carefully laid plans. But you won't cost me this world. If I cannot have Earth through infiltration, I'll take it through conquest. If I cannot rule it, I'll burn it. And I'll start by ending you. Goku met her gaze steadily, feeling the weight of her killing intent like a physical force. This wasn't a warrior anymore. This was a sovereign who'd gambled everything on one invasion and watched it crumble, desperate, cornered, and willing to sacrifice anything for victory. The most dangerous kind of enemy. Read, Goku said quietly, not taking his eyes off Varank. Shut down the weapon. Everyone else, get clear. This is going to get messy. Goku, you can't use your full power in here. Captain America protested. The weapon's antimatter core. I know. Goku's aura began to build, gold giving way to blue as he pushed past Super Saiyan 3's limits toward something deeper. That's why I'm taking this fight somewhere else. Varank, you wanted to face the Saiyan who ruined your invasion? Fine. Let's go where we won't hurt anyone else. His fingers pressed to his forehead. Varank's eyes widened as she realized his intent. To teleport them both away from the facility. Away from the weapon, away from any constraints. She tried to resist. To anchor herself with magnetic powers and force, fields and gravitational manipulation. But instant transmission didn't care about conventional forces. Reality twisted, and they vanished. They reappeared miles above the Atlantic Ocean, where the only casualties of their battle would be fish and water. Goku released Varank immediately, putting distance between them. His aura now blazing with Super Saiyan Blue's divine key, a transformation he'd been saving, hiding, waiting for the moment he'd need it. That moment was now. No more holding back, he said, his voice resonating with power that made the air itself vibrate. No more worried about civilians or weapons or collateral damage. Just you and me, queen against warrior. Let's finish this. Varank's expression shifted from rage to something approaching respect. Then her own power exploded outward. Every stolen ability she'd collected layered into one ultimate transformation. She'd copied powers from gods and mutants and cosmic beings. And now she unleashed all of it at once. Two warriors floated above an empty ocean, the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. And they charged. The ocean became their arena, witness to a battle that transcended normal combat and approached something mythic. Goku and Varank moved faster than sound, their exchanges creating sonic booms that rattled coastal cities. Each strike carried enough force to split mountains. But out here, miles from land, the only damage was water, displaced in massive geysers, and clouds torn apart by shock waves. Varank fought with everything she'd stolen, Thor's lightning to match, Goku's energy, Hulk's strength to counter his Saiyan power, Vision's density manipulation to phase through attacks, Quicksilver's speed to keep pace. She was a library of Earth's mightiest abilities, and she wielded them with the tactical genius of someone who'd conquered civilizations. But Goku had fought perfect Cell, who'd absorbed the techniques of everyone he'd ever faced. He'd battled Majin Buu, who could copy abilities just by seeing them once. Stolen power was familiar territory, and he knew its fundamental weakness. A copied technique was never quite as strong as the original. His fist drove through Varank's guard. His knee found her ribs, his elbow her temple. Each strike landed with mathematical precision. Decades of Master Rashi's training guiding his hands. Varank retaliated with desperate fury, her attacks growing wilder as she realized the truth Goku had known from the start. She was outmatched, not in raw power. Her collected abilities gave her enough strength to compete, not in versatility. She had more techniques than Goku could count, but in spirit, in the warrior's heart that turned power into purpose. She had nothing. Every ability she wielded belonged to someone else. Every technique came from battles she hadn't fought, lessons she hadn't learned, sacrifices she hadn't made. She was an empire's weapon wearing a hero's skin, and against a warrior who'd trained under gods and protected universes. That wasn't enough. You can't win, Varank gasped, her form crackling with unstable energy as her copied powers began to degrade under sustained damage. Even if you defeat me, the invasion continues. We have fleets, armies, infiltrators across 1,000 worlds. The Skrull Empire is eternal. Maybe, Goku said. His Super Saiyan blue aura steady and controlled even after sustained combat. But Earth isn't yours. These people, these heroes, they're stronger than you thought. Not because of their powers, but because they keep fighting even when things seem hopeless. You studied their abilities, but you never understood what makes them heroes. His Kamehameha built between his palms, blue-white energy that dwarfed anything he'd used before. Out here, away from civilians and delicate technology, he could unleash his full power without restraint. This is for every person you replaced, for every life you stole, for thinking you could conquer Earth without consequences. Came, Varank threw everything she had left into one desperate defense, every force field, every durability enhancement, every protective ability she'd copied. The shield she created could have withstood planetary bombardment. Haim, it wouldn't be enough. Hiya! The wave erupted from Goku's hands, a pillar of divine ki that turned night to day across the Atlantic. It struck Varank's defense and simply kept going, overwhelming stolen invulnerability through sheer overwhelming force. The Skrull Queen's scream cut off as the energy engulfed her completely, burning away copied powers, stripping her down to her true form. When the light faded, Varank fell. Goku caught her before she hit the ocean, his enhanced speed letting him intercept her unconscious form. She was still alive, battered, defeated, her empire's perfect weapon reduced to just another warrior who'd lost. He could have let her drown, could have finished what he'd started. But that wasn't who he was. Even enemies deserved mercy. He pressed his fingers to his forehead, locking onto Iron Man's arc reactor signature, and teleported back to the underground facility. The scene he materialized into was one of controlled chaos. The weapon hung dormant, its energy fields dissipated, its crystalline surface dark and inert. Reed Richards slumped against the control terminal, exhausted but triumphant, his malleable fingers still twitching from the strain of interfacing with alien technology. The Avengers stood victorious among dozens of unconscious Skrulls, battered and bleeding but alive. And Captain America, his uniform torn and scorched, turned to face Goku with an expression of profound relief. "Tell me she's unconscious, not dead," Goku confirmed, lowering Varank's limp form to the ground, where shield agents immediately surrounded her with restraints designed to hold Super Skrulls. "The weapon shut down," Reed said, his voice hoarse with fatigue. "Not just disabled. I've corrupted the core programming so thoroughly that even if the Skrulls try to rebuild it, they need to start from scratch. The DNA conversion technology is, well, it no longer exists in any functional sense." Tony's faceplate retracted, revealing a face that looked older than it had hours ago. "Jarvis just confirmed. Skrull forces are retreating worldwide. Without their queen and their superweapon, the invasion's lost its teeth. They're still dangerous, still here, but the coordinated assault is over. Earth's defenders can handle cleanup." "Then we won," Spider-Man said, and the disbelief in his voice spoke for everyone present. "We actually won. Against shape-shifting alien infiltrators with superweapons, and replaced heroes and impossible odds. We won." "No," Captain America said quietly, his gaze moving across each hero in turn before settling on Goku. "He won. Without your ability to detect infiltrators, we'd still be fighting shadows and trusting enemies. Without your power, Varank would have killed us all. Earth owes you a debt we can't possibly repay." Goku scratched his head, uncomfortable with the praise. "I just helped. You guys did all the hard work, the planning, the tactics, the risking your lives even when you didn't know who to trust. That takes courage that's way more impressive than just punching hard." "Nevertheless," Thor rumbled, Mjolnir resting on his shoulder, "you have proven yourself a true warrior, Scion." The tale of how an outsider defended Midgard from the Skrull Empire shall be sung in Asgard's halls for generations. Wolverine extended a hand, his healing factor having already closed the worst of his wounds. You're all right, bub. For an alien who punches way too hard and smiles way too much, you're all right. Goku clasped the offered hand, feeling the calluses and scars of a warrior who'd fought for centuries. Thanks. You're pretty tough yourself. That healing thing you do is really handy. Goku, Nick Fury said, emerging from the facility's shadows with his usual dramatic timing. The director looked exhausted. One eye tracking the unconscious, Skrulls being loaded onto transport vehicles, while the other remained fixed on Goku. We need to talk about what comes next. The invasion's broken, but there are still Skrulls embedded across the planet. Infiltrators we haven't detected. Sleeper agents waiting for orders. Refugees who just want to escape the Empire's reach. We need your help sorting them out. I can do that, Goku agreed. But I should tell you, I'm not from this universe. The instant transmission that brought me here was an accident. Eventually, I'm going to figure out how to get home, back to my friends and family. I can't stay forever. We understand, Captain America said. But while you're here, you're welcome to stand with us, to be an Avenger, if you want the title. The offer hung in the air, heavy with meaning. To join Earth's mightiest heroes, to take a place among legends, to officially become part of this world's defense. It was an honor Goku understood, even if the formality felt strange. I'm not really a team person, he admitted. Where I'm from, I mostly train alone or with my sons. But he looked at each hero, feeling the strength of their bonds, the trust they'd built through countless battles. While I'm here, I'll help however I can, whether that's as an Avenger or just as someone who wants to protect people. The title doesn't matter as much as the work. Spoken like a true hero, Reed Richards said, finally pulling himself upright. Though I hope you'll let me study the method you used to arrive here. If we can understand the dimensional breach that brought you to our universe, we might be able to either send you home or at least understand the multiverse mechanics involved. Sure, Goku said. Though I should warn you, where I'm from, we have Dragon Balls that can grant wishes. They're probably what messed up my instant transmission. I don't think your universe has those. Dragon Balls. Tony's eyes lit up with the particular gleam of a scientist who'd just heard about impossible technology. Wish-granting artifacts? Oh, we're absolutely having that conversation later. After sleep, and possibly medical attention. Jarvis, remind me to interrogate our dimensional visitor about magical wish orbs. Already noted, sir. The banter continued as SHIELD teams secured the facility and transported Skrull prisoners. The Avengers laughed and joked, the tension of battle draining away into the relief of survival. Goku stood among them, not quite belonging, but not quite separate either, and felt something warm settle in his chest. These people, these heroes who'd fought with everything they had against impossible odds, reminded him of the Z Fighters. Different universe, different powers, different circumstances, but the same spirit underneath. The same willingness to sacrifice, to protect, to stand against darkness even when victory seemed impossible. He'd ended up here by accident, but maybe accident wasn't the right word. Maybe the universe had needed him here at this exact moment to tip the scales in humanity's favor. Master Roshi used to say that strong warriors appeared when the world needed them most. Looking at the exhausted but triumphant heroes around him, Goku thought maybe his old teacher had been right. 3 days later, Goku stood on the roof of the rebuilt Avengers Tower. Stark had insisted on hosting him, claiming it was the least he could do. The sun set over New York City, painting the sky in oranges and purples that reminded him of home. Below, millions of people went about their lives, completely unaware of how close they'd come to extinction. That was fine. Heroes didn't protect people for recognition.